This is a thing that I didn't even know until I was making the show. Some performers are set on fire all the time. Very rarely do you do what's called a full burn, which is when the entire body is consumed in fire. But the thing that they don't tell you, you can't take a breath. If you take even a micromillimeter of breath, the fire will follow the air into your lungs and will burn you from the inside out. These are the real heroes of House of the Dragon. I'm Ryan Condal, the co-creator, executive producer, and showrunner of House of the Dragon. We're going to be looking behind the scenes today at season 2 of House of the Dragon. Play. So this is the action apex of episode 4, which is called The Red Dragon and the Gold. And this is where all of these disparate threads that we've been setting up all season have come together. There are a ton of dragons in the show. There are 17 dragons that exist in the world at this point. We haven't met all of them yet. We try to give them each their own sense of personality and character, and even going as far as having their own silhouettes and their own color palettes. They have their own sounds that they make. They're created by a mad scientist named Paula Fairfield. She is a creature sound designer. Everything is real and starts with an organic sound, so it's something that she's actually captured and recorded or had a sound library file. And then in the sort of world of digital magic, she blends and amalgamates things like baby sounds all the way to like rhinoceroses charging, and she creates all of the sounds that a dragon makes. So not only its vocalizations, but also what it sounds like when it's breathing fire, what its wings sound like when it's flapping, what its claws sound like when they're thundering across the earth or clawing into another dragon. So filming a rider on the dragon is one of the most complicated things that we do on the show. It requires sometimes location work, drone work, and then what we call buck work. The buck being, of course, the bucking bronco that all of the dragon riders have to sit on and be filmed, it tends to be a saddle on a motion rig that sits up in the air and then have a bunch of cameras pointed at it. In buck shots like this, there's obviously, that's the actor sitting on the physical buck. All of the dragon bits there are digital that are added in afterwards, and you're filming the actor to get their performance, the experience of what it's like riding on a dragon. And this can be rather awkward for the actor because they're sitting up surrounded by blue screen, having wind machines blown at them and sometimes rain rained upon them. This shot coming up is the first time that we've really seen a dragon engage another dragon in physical combat. We worked really hard to figure out what that would actually be like, and Alan Taylor, actually our director on this episode, approached it from the idea of birds of prey and how they fight and do battle in the sky, perhaps fighting over territory or over a mate. This is the emotional apex of the scene. Things are not going well for poor Rhaenys or her dragon. And the hope here was not only to capture the emotion of Rhaenys and her realization that her dragon is dead, but also the audience's feeling about losing a dragon and seeing how it lands on Rhaenys. And this amazing performance that Eve Best gave us, where we basically turned her upside down and blew a bunch of air at her and told her to pretend that her dragon was dying. I mean, none of this stuff was there. It was just her and her saddle, and she pulled it all together. This is going to be a scene from episode 7, which is called The Red Sowing. Rhaenyra very smartly has calculated that if she really wants to win this war, she's going to need more dragons to do it. Play. We talked about this sequence being very much like a monster movie, like King Kong or Jurassic Park. For Rhaenyra, she's so desperate to turn the tide of war in her favor that she's basically put all these people out that she doesn't know for possible sacrifice. And that's what we see happen here in this horror show that Vermithor unleashes on the platform. This is a thing that I didn't even know until I was making the show. Some performers are set on fire all the time. Very rarely do you do what's called a full burn, which is when the entire body is consumed in fire. It's obviously very dangerous because your whole body is on fire, but the thing that they don't tell you, hopefully they tell the stunt performers, you can't take a breath. If you take even a micromillimeter of breath, the fire will follow the air into your lungs and will burn you from the inside out. So these guys have to be trained to not breathe at all. And when somebody lights you on fire, the initial instinct is always to panic, and they have to be trained out of that, because that's actually the biggest danger that follows them here is breathing, not anything else. And it's just, I mean, again, credit to these guys. These are the real heroes of House of the Dragon. So this is this great combination of all things digital and practical. This is a real staircase, obviously digital dragon eating digital man. And we're seeing all these, again, multidisciplinary fields coming together to make this sequence. This is multiple sets that are shot on different days, sometimes days, weeks, months apart. And we fold it together in post-production to make it seem like it's all happening in the same place at the same time. Please don't watch the show on your phone. I see you and I don't like it. Save it for at home, get a big TV, and you watch the show as it's sort of intended to be seen. So that all said, let's watch our next clip, which is from the season finale of Series 2. This is actually one of my favorite scenes in the show. I love this scene to end the season because it brings us all back around to what this series was originally about, which is Alicent and Rhaenyra and their two experiences that carry us through this horrible war that they're fighting.
I had to see you.
Who knows?
None save my protector. He laid down his sword at your gate.
With any great scene in television, you want multiple emotions to be playing at once, and I think this is a great example of it. And that doesn't happen without the performances of these two incredible actors that we have centered the show around.
Did you come here thinking you would be absolved?
Being able to end this season in such a internal and quiet place that still has so much emotion and so many stakes associated with it is the proudest thing for me, because I think this scene is proof that the drama on the show is really deep and dense, and that it works and it carries the day. It's not just about the spectacle of the dragons and the wars and the battles and the fighting, which we all love, but that stuff doesn't matter if you don't care about the characters that are waging it. All right, I hope you enjoyed that. This was The Craft of, and that was an in-depth look at the making of House of the Dragon Season 2.